The Las Vegas Raiders made a big move today addressing the quarterback position. Early in the morning, we got a report from Deanna Rossini claiming that the Raiders were in the market for a veteran quarterback, and boy was she right, because the Raiders later on that day, they made a big move. They traded for veteran quarterback Geno Smith of the Seattle Seahawks. The Raiders gave up their third round pick, their number 73rd overall pick, specifically that New York Jets pick that they got from trading away Davante Adams. So essentially this trade is giving up Davante Adams, who was the guy that was unhappy, for Geno Smith at the quarterback position. And this is definitely a big move for the Raiders, because at the quarterback position, I think there was a lot of uncertainty with a new coach coming in, a new front office, new general manager, new offensive coordinator. They definitely were gonna want to bring in some new blood, bring in some of their own guys to compete in the quarterback position. We know that Gardner Minshew will be released. The Raiders still have Aidan O'Connell, but like I said, a guy like Aidan O'Connell, he has zero ties to Pete Carroll, to the front office. So a guy like him, I mean, you keep him on the roster, he still has some good things to his game. He will compete in that room, but I think it's a long shot for him to get the starting position at the end of the day. And instead, Pete Carroll went with a familiar face and Geno Smith. Now, Geno Smith, a former first-round pick quarterback, did not have a great start to his career. Went to Seattle, sat behind Russell Wilson for a little bit, and after Russell Wilson demanded a trade, he took full advantage of that opportunity to become the Seattle Seahawks starting quarterback in 2022. And under Pete Carroll, he had a resurgence to his career. In that 2022 regular season, he led the league in completion percentage, and he earned himself a nod to the Pro Bowl that year. And overall, he's been a solid starting quarterback for the Seahawks. And ultimately, this move for the Raiders, it gives them a little bit of stability at the quarterback position, and more than anything, it gives them a little bit of time. It gives them a little bit of breathing room to address that quarterback position. Now, honestly, a guy like Geno Smith, he's not the best quarterback. He's not terrible either. He's, your prototypical middle of the pack quarterback. He's a veteran. He's familiar with Pete Carroll, so he should be decent for the Raiders. Now, I'm not going to come out here and make it seem like us trading for Geno Smith is the best thing in the world, that it's going to take us from a 4-win season like we had last season to automatically making the playoffs. No, this move does not move the needle. And ultimately, I am okay with this move as long as it's under the premise that the Raiders are going to draft a young quarterback to hopefully eventually take the reins from Geno Smith, because ultimately, at the end of the day, he is a stopgap quarterback. He is a short-term solution at the quarterback position. And ultimately, like I said, I think he provides the Raiders a little bit of time, a little bit of breathing room to address the quarterback position. And now the Raiders can go into the draft not feeling obligated to draft the quarterback, especially with their first-round pick. If you think about it like this way, if the Raiders would have not addressed the quarterback position in free agency, if we only would have had Aidan O'Connell on the roster, then the Raiders are very likely going to get in a situation where they may have to address the quarterback position early. They may have to trade up for a Cam Ward or a Shedeur Sanders if they felt like he wasn't going to fall to them at 6. But the Raiders now having a quarterback that at the very least could be a starter next season, this gives them a little bit of flexibility in terms of what they can do this offseason to address that position. And when it comes to the cap salary implications for the Raiders taking on the deal of Geno Smith, I mean, it's a fairly reasonable financial hit to the Raiders. For next season, he will have a cap hit of $25 million. And the Raiders currently have the second most cap space, so to get a starting level quarterback for $25 million, you can't go wrong with that. In terms of draft compensation, they didn't give up the farm. We had an extra third-round pick, so I'm definitely okay with it in that sense. And ultimately, when it came to like the other options we could have had, when it came to the veteran quarterback market, I mean, sure, maybe they could have gone aggressive and try to get a younger quarterback like Sam Darnold, a guy who's also a former first-round pick. Sure, a guy like that, he definitely gives you some upside of potentially being the franchise quarterback. But the thing is, Sam Darnold is very likely going to get paid this offseason. He's very likely going to get paid anywhere from $40 million to $45 million per season. And you're very likely going to have to sign to a minimum of like a 3 to 4 year contract. So in that sense, that is way too big of a risk for the Raiders to take on. And honestly, I was not going to be too happy if the Raiders went out and got aggressive and they signed a guy like Sam Darnold. Ultimately, he only has one good season under his belt, and to me that does not justify putting all that money and just all that investment into a quarterback like him. Sure, there's other options like Aaron Rodgers, who was a free agent as well, but a guy like Aaron Rodgers, I mean, his best days are behind him. The guy comes with a baggage when it comes to drama. And really, to me, he does not fit the culture of what Pete Carroll is trying to bring to the Raiders. So honestly, I'm glad we stayed away from a guy like Aaron Rodgers at this point. I was okay with taking on Matthew Stafford as long as we could get him for like a 3rd round pick, but it seems like the Rams very likely wanted a 1st round pick for him. So that was too steep of a asking price. So when it comes down to it, really any team that is trying to get a quarterback in the free agency market or in the veteran trade market, more times than not, you're not going to get a franchise quarterback unless you're paying a premium. The Raiders get themselves a familiar face that fits the identity and the culture of what Pete Carroll is trying to bring to the Raiders. He buys his franchise a little bit more time, and hopefully a move like this could give the Raiders a little bit of confidence to address the quarterback position in this offseason. As long as they have a long-term future at the quarterback spot and Geno Smith is just a temporary quarterback, I'm okay with the move. Geno Smith does give us a little bit of upgrade over Aidan O'Connell, but I will say I don't know how much of an upgrade it would be. And realistically, from us just trading for Geno Smith, this doesn't propel me to say that we're going to be a playoff team off the bat. We still got a lot of work to do. And with Geno Smith at quarterback, you can still definitely make the argument that we have the worst quarterback in the AFC West. So we still haven't addressed the position in a real way, but it buys the Raiders a little bit of time. And when it comes to the draft compensation and the cap hit he's going to have moving forward, you really can't go wrong with it. Now, it is going to be interesting to see, though. He only has 1 year left on his current contract. Will the Raiders sign him to an extension? And if they do, how much will it be for? Or do they just let him ride out the contract and we see what we do with him down the road? So it'll be interesting to see that. But Raider Nation, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below of the latest move by trading for Geno Smith. Do you think it was a good move? Do you think it was a bad move? Let me know in that comment section down below. But with that being said, Raider Nation, that is all I have for you guys in today's video. Anybody that is new to the channel, you guys love Raider related content just like this, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. That being said, I will see you guys in the next one.